What's up, everybody? Thanks for being here tonight. The gate tonight was 2.6 million USD with attendance of 16,439 for the highest grossing UFC fight night in North American history. The bonuses tonight, there's 4 performance bonuses: Jourdain, Youssef Zalal, Stoltzfus, and Jasmine Jasudavicius. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Yeah.
What's up, Mike?
Good rebound night from the Canadians after Toronto. I guess how important is that to have, good results for the Canadian talent this evening?
So I guess 6-2? Yeah, excellent. I mean, especially after the Toronto last January. Yeah, some good performances tonight, even with Barrio losing. But Dana, you saw Dana and Hunter sort of got up and were very complimentary of his performance. I think they just liked, after being on the ground, getting up and just fighting so feverishly until the end. It was a good performance. It was great to have some good momentum with the Canadian athletes tonight.
For sure. And then the non-Canadian athletes at the top of the card. Aaron Blanchfield got a nice win there, lost the first 2 rounds, then came back and won the final 3. I guess what did that show you about her heart and her grit? Probably something you want to see out of a 25-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. And keeps climbing. I think the Menon-Firo blemish, I think she's sort of on track to. I mean, who knows what's in store for her next? I think the call out was Alexa. So we'll see what Dana wants to do on Tuesday.
Yeah, and Brandon Moreno, he kind of took a self-imposed hiatus here and then came back and looked great. I guess, does that show the value of these athletes knowing themselves, knowing when to take breaks, and knowing what's best for your performances like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all his Figgy fights, I think it's been a bit of a, he's like the last 5, he's had a bit of a rocky performance, stops and starts, but nice to see that type of performance tonight. He was a fan favorite immediately too. You saw there was immediate reaction for him from the very beginning, and he was quick, dynamic. The fight was really exciting. I thought there was going to be a finish at the end there. Didn't quite get it, but pretty entertaining for the Edmonton crowd.
Yeah, and given the success of tonight with the gate and the attendance and everything, does that alter the priorities for the next stop in Canada, or do you guys already have plans in place?
No, I don't think it alters our plans. We've got, our wish list. We've got a sequencing of events we want to do between the fight nights and the pay-per-views over the next few years. We talk about it often. It comes down to sometimes it's just arena availability, but Alberta, pound-for-pound province, let's just say, just in terms of the per capita fan base here, strong results in our history in Edmonton. It's historically been a pay-per-view city. It was a great fight night city. We'll probably come back with a pay-per-view at some point, but we need a couple months to figure that out. Yeah, and both Mike Malott and Jasmine were back here, and they're kind of pushing for Halifax. I know you've been there a few times before. Yeah, is that somewhere on the list of options for? Yeah, it's on the list. I mean, I think what's happened over the years is our show keeps getting progressively bigger, right? So it's not just about us needing enough seats to sell the tickets that we need to meet our budgetary targets. It's a bigger show. We've got more production, we've got more people coming, we've got more demands on the space, and sometimes what's happening with smaller arenas is we don't have enough room. So Halifax is definitely on the list, but I think we tend to favor bigger hockey rinks like this, NHL, NBA style rinks like this, because they can handle the 2 TV trucks and the amount of backstage space that we need. But man, we had some great nights in Halifax, and it'd be great to get back.
Great show tonight.
Thank you.
I wonder, though, if you could give us an update on Derek Lewis. Obviously, he didn't make the ceremonials yesterday. We said the fight was still on, and then a couple hours later he was out. So is there any update on what took him out of that fight? So
I think the update, there's really no update beyond what the official release was, which was a non-fight related medical issue, or not weight cut related medical issue. Yeah, I mean, I think the situation yesterday was all happening in real time. So we didn't actually have enough answers at the point of the ceremonial weigh-ins yesterday. He weighed in yesterday morning. He had to cut a bit, but that's not uncommon for him. And then over the course of the afternoon, started to get medical treatment, and we just didn't have any answers. And so at that point, it made most sense for us to, proceed with the weigh-ins with Janice, and try to figure out what was going on before making any decisions. But listen, there's no substitute for taking the safe road when it comes to the athlete health and safety. So it was the right decision for him not to compete.
Absolutely. And then what can you say about the toughness of Amir Albazi in that meeting? I mean, Brandon Moreno looked great, but he hung in there right till the end.
Yeah. I mean, you got 2 of them, the nicest guys. on the UFC roster competing against one another, and they're both certified killers. And these guys went at it. Yeah, I mean, he endured, you know, a full barrage from Moreno and kept going, and I think that's, you know, what the fans deserved. It was a great fight.
And the last one for me, outside of Canada, I mean, we heard from a number of athletes tonight who said, you know, they don't care if the fans are booing them or cheering them, whatever. They just like fighting in front of fans. So are we going to see more road shows in 2025 kind of leaving the Apex more and more?
Yeah, there will be. There'll be an increased number of events outside of the Apex relative to this year as we get into the 2025 schedule.
With that said, is there always going to be a certain number of Apex events moving forward? Like, will always be maybe one a month? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's tough for us to anticipate what 2 or 3 years down the road is going to look like, but it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. You know, there's a lot of fighters in Vegas. It's easy for us operationally. It's obviously, you know, simple from a budgetary perspective, and you know, the rigor and the pressure and, you know, how laborious it can be to be on the road. I mean, you guys know it. You're, you know, week in, week out with us and other promotions. It's tough. And so I think having home games and being in the Apex where, you know, you can just turn off the lights and lock the door, it makes a lot of sense for us. So will we ever get back to pre-COVID of no Apex? I don't think so. But I think we're going to find the right balance for us.
Thanks, Ed.
Yeah, no worries.
Right here.
Yes, sir.
Just speaking about the Apex shows and bringing the show elsewhere, you know, a lot of European fans are longing for what it was like pre-COVID. We had a lot of European shows. We recently had the announcement of Ian Gary versus Joaquin Buckley. A lot of Irish fans thought, you know, that would have made a perfect main event for a Dublin card. Just wondering, you know, is there plans to go back to Dublin or some other shows in Europe, like we've had mainland Europe in Poland and Germany?
Did you go to the Callum Walsh fight?
I did not myself. I actually live in Canada, but
so great venue, but in, you know, a small venue. So could we take our show to that arena? You know, it'd be challenging. We'd have to, you know, it's not an insurmountable challenge. Like we'd be able to do it, but we'd be having a small event. It's a small arena. It doesn't have the space that we need necessarily. So are there more plans? Yes, we're going to be back in the UK next year. Whether, you know, that's Dublin, you know, probably London for us next year. And then as we get through next year, which is sort of the last year of our current media deal in the US, and we start to plan out what we want to do in 2026 and beyond in terms of the number of international events that we can have, the intention is to be able to go back to Europe more often.
So you would say it is the size of the arena in Dublin right now that is a kind of a stumbling block to bring
I mean, Dana's talked about going to Croke Park a few times, but I think no roof, big soccer, big football stadium is not the right venue for us. But listen, he was so impressed. I think our whole team loved being in Dublin for the Callum Walsh fight. Who knows? Maybe there's another model. Maybe it's a contender series. Maybe it's Dana White looking for a fight. Maybe he takes Callum Walsh back there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, guys. Thanks for your support this week. Another great event in Edmonton, and obviously another great event in Canada. So appreciate all the help, all the hard work. We'll see you guys soon.